Hello everybody, it's Pixie People here again. Let's just continue the story. Okay, so we continue our story right after the USJ, uh, and after Deku gave the descriptions of the League villains. Or just Shigaraki and Korigiri at this point. And then Deku takes his week off of just so he could just train and work out. And after that whole week, he goes back to school, and they announce that they're going to continue to do the sports festival because they want to. Yep, that's why. And so, of course, I guess a couple of days later, they get into their jumpsuits, the jumpsuits of the sports festival, and then they all get into a crowded room, and then, a gun goes off, and they start running. And Deku just takes a slower pace to everything, and then when he sees Todoroki so far in the front, he claps places with him, and then just runs faster than he was. Then he starts running instead of jogging. He was thinking he was in front first. And then when he gets to the pit bit, he just jumps the whole thing. And then when it comes to that mine area, he just picks up a mine, and then just completely chucks it and swaps places with it. And it went pretty far. Then he lands without touching the mines, and then he just keeps picking up mines and tossing them until he gets all the way to the end. And then Deku wins first place and actually sets a record of the fastest time ever to be completed in the race. Then Deku gets the 10 million points, and it's exactly like in the original, where no one wants to be a part of his team, except I guess Kirishima would, because of how manly Deku is, because he legit is like huge, comparable to most, if not every student, in muscles wise. And then Tokoyami goes with him because he just wants to. And then forgot her name. What's the lady with the pink hair? And that's the team. Basically, what happens is every single time someone tries to go for his points, he swaps places with them. He swaps places with the person on top, and then his team just shoves them off, and then they get disqualified. And then he jumps off them before they can jump him off, and then he lands. And that's basically his whole strategy: is just knock other people off before they can knock him off. And of course, this doesn't work on Bakugo or Todoroki because they have a quirk that can just basically keep them up. Yeah. Oh, Monoma tries to steal Deku's quirk, but when he tries to use his quirk, it doesn't work. Deku leaps over to him and kicks his face, and smashes his face in. And before he can get disqualified, his team grabs him, and that's it. And then he sees Shinso uh, controlling his teammates, because the reason he can tell is because his eyes are whited out. So he doesn't like this. So he tells his team to go straight for the purple-haired guy, because of course he doesn't know his name. So they go for him, and Deku goes over there and just does the exact same strategy he did before, but and it works, of course, because Shinso is just not that guy. And then Shinso gets disqualified. Now it's time for the student versus student battles, and of course it's shit. This time it's Monoba versus Deku. When Deku goes to punch him, he pulls out Kirishima's quirk and then basically parries Deku and then hits Deku with an explosion. Basically Bakugo's explosion. But of course, Deku already knows how to counter Bakugo, so he already is behind him because he clapped, and he does, the spin kick he keeps doing. Then he jumps up and and then he just lands on Monoma's face. Actually, he just lands on his stomach, and then Monoma grabs Deku's legs and then flips him, which confuses Deku. Of course, Monoma has a strength. He grabbed a strength quirk from someone, and then he punches Deku's jaw and punches him, and then basically looks like he does a black flash and punches Deku away from him. Think uses Black Flash when he in the Zero movie in Jujutsu Kaisen when he does it to Kenjaku. That punch. Yeah, in this timeline, Monoma is like that. So after they both get back into their stances and rush each other, Monoma goes for a swing, but Deku dodges it and deflects it back to Monoma's face, but he hardens his face and then basically deflects the fist and then kicks Deku's leg onto his knees, and then he pulls back a punch and punches Deku in the face, knocking a tooth out. Actually, after Deku loses a tooth, he basically does a punch to Monoma's stomach, but he tries to harden it. But Deku punches so gosh dang hard that the armor, Kirishima armor he's using, breaks. Monoma gets a big gut check and spits out uh, vomit. Not spit this time. It's vomit. And then everyone uh, is grossed out because that was gross. And sadly for Deku, he got puke all over his shirt. Monoma gets embarrassed, but also furious that Deku did that to him. So he then just rapid fires Bakugo's quirk, which Deku is still grossed out by the puke and doesn't see it coming. And then just get rapid fires explosions to the face. Then when the thing's over with, Deku's basically just has shorts on at that point. And then Deku switches places with Monoma, and before Monoma can do a huge explosion to the ground, basically destroying everything under it. And then Deku basically, I guess, sprains Monoma's back, and then Monoma actually dribbles off the ground, and then Deku finishes it off with a big double kick. Think Toji when he did it to Daigon, where he jumped and then kicked him. And then Monoma gets sent out to the, that kick hurt so much that it sent him straight out of the ring. Now he gets up and walks over to Monoma and says, that was amazing. Deku was super impressed by Monoma's skill and tenacity and how well he used his classmates' quirks. And that's basically all Deku had to say. And Monoma takes the hand that Deku was offering, gets up and carries Deku out of the ring. Because Deku, as immediately as he does that, almost collapses over because he got shot with a buttload of explosions to the face. And then Monoma becomes a friend of Deku at that very moment. So basically, a friendship was born from that fight. Yeah. And then after... then Deku watches the other fights and sees Todoroki absolutely eviscerates Shinso with his ice quirk. Deku's thinking if he fights Todoroki, he'll probably just beat him, considering it's Deku versus Todoroki. And, they step up to the ring, and Deku says, you ain't gonna beat me if you just use your ice, I gotta be honest. And Todoroki says that confidence you're gonna win, And Deku says, yeah. Then the fight begins. And they both rush each other, and actually, Deku rushes Todoroki, and then Todoroki tries to ice him, but of course, he just. Instead of swapping with Todoroki, he actually swaps with the ice that he shot out to confuse Todoroki, because, like, he thought he would tell. So even Todoroki thought, and, you know, shot an ice behind him, but, all that did was shoot behind him and didn't hit Deku. So Deku leaps towards Todoroki and, does a suplex. Then he grabs both his legs and just tosses him up in the air. Then he grabs a piece of ice from the ice Todoroki shot behind him, throws it up into the air, and swaps places with it. And then grabs Todoroki by his collar, and then just spins like a lot, and then tosses Deku to the. He tosses Todoroki straight to the ground, which Todoroki saves himself, but that was what was Deku's plan. So then he teleports with Todoroki's ice that he's using to save himself. And then he uses that massive glacier, like it teleports above him. Then he catches it and then just tosses it at Todoroki, which Todoroki. So when this ice glacier is going towards Todoroki, he just shoots up another ice glacier and blocks it. But that was Deku's plan. Because then he used the ice blocks as like a platform to jump over the wall he just made. The wall Todoroki just made. And then he just kicks Todoroki in the face. Then Todoroki gets tired of Deku just kicking him and punching him in the face. So he tries to send out an iceberg that, he sent out against Shinso. But Deku predicts this and had a piece of ice shard with him because he took that from when he jumped over it. And then he tosses it towards Todoroki and claps where it is, and then just concaves Todoroki's head in and slams into the ground. And after Todoroki sends out his strongest attack, it gets annoyed. So he finally sends out a fire blast. And then when Endeavor starts talking how Todoroki should have been using that the whole time, Deku just claps him outside the ring. He looked at a guy off on the TV and teleported Endeavor with that, so their fight couldn't be interrupted. And then Todoroki then actually gets happy, like he grins, because that was funny. And so he actually sends out his entire quirk, glaze eyes of Endeavor looking at him. So he basically covers the entire arena in ice and fire. And Deku is just sweating at this point. I forgot to mention that he got a new jumpsuit, so he's not shirtless and has shorts on while in the freezing cold. And then Todoroki and him get into a massive brawl, with Deku clapping with Todoroki often and barely dodging his flames, with Todoroki basically hitting Deku more often than he did with just his ice quirk. So Deku's losing a lot of his jumpsuit because it gets set on fire and he has to tear it off. Then the fight keeps going until midnight, and Cementos finally say it's a draw, because clearly this fight's going to go on for way too long, and that's going to just get boring. So Deku, instead of, wanting it to be a draw, he just forfeits, and then Todoroki goes on to the final round. And then every single time Endeavor tries to go into the ring, Deku just claps him outside the ring, so Todoroki can keep using his fire quirk. And so, Todoroki and Bakugo actually have a fight, where Todoroki uses his fire quirk and ice quirk, and Bakugo and him fight. I'll actually commentate this one. So Bakugo throws out a massive explosion to start it out, but Todoroki freezes that explosion in place, and then he picks up the ice glacier like slightly, and then shoots out a bigger ice pillar to launch that at Bakugo. Well, Bakugo ducks it and sends out a massive explosion after that spin. But Todoroki just sends himself up with a uh, fire shot, and then he sends out like a big old okay, yeah, he sends out a flash fist. He sends out Bakugo gets hit by it and gets slammed to the ground, but he just launches himself towards Todoroki and just grabs his leg and then twirls him and tosses him to the ground. Then he shoots himself aggressively towards uh, Todoroki, spins, and kicks Todoroki right in the face. Todoroki freezes Bakugo's um, his leg, which actually freezes him to his core and actually removes all the sweat he was using to use explosions. So basically, he's quirkless right now, and Todoroki used this advantage to send out a massive iceberg towards Bakugo, which freezes Bakugo completely, and that's basically the fight. And then this timeline, Todoroki wins until All Might shows up, and then he pipes down slightly. He's still looking at Deku with a massive glare. And then All Might does the whole giving them their medals and hugging them. Except Bakugo doesn't, just puts his on All Might's chest and says no. And then so All Might just gives him a thumbs up. And he's like, yeah. And then Deku gets a hug from All Might. And then it's Todoroki who gets his medal and gets his hug. And then All Might does a big speech, and that's the sports festival. Let's do a little bit of flashback. It's not a big flashback, but it's a bit of a flashback. Deku saw Ida walk off with his phone and went to follow him to see if he was alright, and looked over and saw that he was basically gripping his phone like he was trying to break it. And that's and Deku thinks he shouldn't interview her, so he walks over and just sits back down. I guess that's it. That's all I really wanted to do. Little cliffhanger, I guess. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit the post notification bells if you would like to see more of this What If. I'm having a lot of fun with this one because it's just fun to mess around with Todo's abilities. Because Todo's my favorite character of all Jujutsu Kaisen. But, yeah.
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me